She arose with her daughters-in-law, that she might return from the country of Moab, for she had heard in the country of Moab how that the Lord had visited his people and given them bread. In other words, she heard about where she came from, of what was going on in the place where she used to be. Now the name Bethlehem, Judah means house of bread. So she heard that the Lord had visited his people in giving them the house of bread. So they was getting what they were supposed to when they were supposed to get it, but she wasn't at this point.
My God.
Just like you haven't been getting what you're supposed to be getting at this point.
Help.
Skip down to verse 22.
Help us,
Verse 22, because this is very important. So Naomi returned, and Ruth the Moabitess, her daughter-in-law, with her, which returned out of the country of Moab, and they came to Bethlehem in the beginning of the barley harvest. See, this is telling you what time it is without telling you actually what time it is.
Yes, sir.
In the beginning of the barley harvest. Now understand this, because I'm just giving you a quick overview. Naomi, Orpah, and Ruth had just been given a new field. All of their husbands died. All of them died. So now they got a choice. They can stay right where they're at, or they can move.
Yeah.
And Naomi has a little piece of information that her daughter-in-laws don't have. She knows where she came from. And she knows what should be happening. But she also knows that it's not happening. So now we got to find out something. Why ain't this happening the way that it should? And why is God dealing with me like this? Why is this hell continuing to stick around? Why are these things not still working? Because this is only supposed to happen for a season. It ain't supposed to be in all seasons.
My God.
Why am I continuing to have the same problem every season?
Help us, Jesus.
Trees don't change fruit. They just change and adjust in each season. Y'all keep trying to change fruit. All you're supposed to do is let some leaves fall off, spend a little time exposed to the cold, let the sap fall and not produce anything for a little while, and then at the right time, grow your leaves back and produce some more fruit. Y'all keep trying to chop the tree down when it don't produce, when you think it should be producing. So that's why you keep cutting relationships off, and you keep getting rid of folks, and you keep doing all those things, only to find yourself right back with the same problem.
Come on.
Help us, Jesus.
See, because what God's designed to happen is he's saying, I put people in your life for certain seasons.
Come on now. All right.
So that you can get what you're supposed to get out of that season.
Yeah.
And you become who you're supposed to become in that season. So that this then takes you into your next season. So you're in a new season with new fruit. One of the things in the whole thing that I got to get you to understand is, see, some of y'all are still focused on the hell that was sent to temper you and form you into who you were supposed to be in that season. Some of y'all are still focused on the hell that happened in that season instead of becoming what you were supposed to become in that season. So since you're still focused on the wrong that was done to you, instead of focusing on, Lord, what am I supposed to become? Then you keep giving more attention to the hell, so that since you keep giving more attention to that, that's what keeps being reproduced in the next season in front of you.
Help us, Jesus.
So now, here's what I got to get you to understand. If you stay focused on that instead of what you're supposed to become, I'm not saying that it didn't hurt you. I'm not saying that it shouldn't hurt you. As a matter of fact, it's going to hurt you. As a matter of fact, it did hurt you. As a matter of fact, you felt betrayed. You felt belittled. You felt all of those things. But watch. It was never designed for you to stay in that hurt.
Not staying.
It was never part of the design for you to stay in that hurt, ever. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. So it shouldn't keep.
All right.
It shouldn't keep going on.
Jesus.
So if your hurt keeps going on, here's what you got to understand. You causing your own hurt. You causing your own hurt. Because you're spending too much time on your hurt.
My God.
Help me.
You keep focusing on how bad it hurt instead of how good you were supposed to become from that hurt. Because watch now. For every level of hell that you encounter, there's a new season for new fruit waiting in the balances for you. So every time something comes at you, what you need to back up and start over and saying, okay, how do I need to shift for the next season? What do I need to become for the next season? Because he's letting this come so that I can shed some leaves, get rid of some bark. See, because some of y'all still got too much bark. You're still letting too much come out of your mouth. Towards the one that he allowed to get to you to help you become what you needed to become for the next season. Some of you are still looking to try to do what you've done in the last season. And one of the things that Ruth understands, and this is crucial, I'm about done with my overview. Go with me to verse 7. Verse 7. Ruth chapter 1, verse 7. It says, wherefore she went forth out of the place where she was, and her two daughters-in-law with her, and they went on the way to return unto the land of Judah. They're going to turn their praise back on. Now watch this. Go to verse 8. It says that Naomi said unto her two daughters-in-law, go, return each to her mother's house. The Lord deal kindly with you as you have dealt with the dead and with me. In other words, she's trying to tell them, hey, I don't have any more sons. I can't have any more sons. I'm not going to have any more sons. I'm not going to have another husband. I'm not going back to what I did last season with you.
That's it.
Wow.
So since I'm not going back to what I did last season with you, then you can go ahead and go back. Go on back to mama's house. It's all right. I ain't going to be mad. I ain't going to be upset. Y'all go ahead and go back. Watch. It says, the Lord grant you that you may find rest, each of you in the house of her husband. Then she kissed them, and they lifted up their voice and wept. That's very important. They lifted up their voice, and they wept. They were crying. They were in their emotions. They were out of control. Now watch. Because it says, and they said unto her, surely we will return to thee, turn with thee unto thy people. Watch verse 11. And Naomi said, turn again, my daughters. Why will you go with me? Are there yet any more sons in my womb, that they may be your husbands? Turn again, my daughters, go your way, for I am too old to have a husband. If I should say, I have hope, if I should have a husband also tonight, and should also bear sons, would you tarry for them till they were grown? Would you stay from them from having husbands? Nay, my daughters, for it grieveth me much for your sakes that the hand of the Lord is gone out against me. And they lifted up their voice and wept again. Now I want you to understand this. She told them to go back the first time. They start crying because they feel emotionally connected, like they got to stick with her.
Come on now.
So they keep going. Even though one of them knows that they didn't want to keep going, but they kept going. Now, they lifted up their voice, wept again. Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clave unto her. Watch this. And she said, behold, thy sister-in-law is gone back unto her people and unto her gods. Return thou after thy sister-in-law. And Ruth said, entreat me not to leave thee, or to return from following after thee. For whither thou goest, I will go, and where thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, and thy God, my God. Where thou diest, will I die, and there will I be buried. The Lord do so to me, and more also, if aught but death part thee and me. She's saying, you ain't getting rid of me. Even though my sister-in-law went back, I ain't going back. Because there ain't nothing for me to go back to. Watch this. When she saw that she was steadfastly minded to go with her, that she left speaking unto her. Here's a nugget of revelation. If you got to keep asking folks if they with you, then you already know they ain't with you. You already know. You keep asking, they keep proving, and you keep asking.
Bravo, sir, bravo.
See, because what you got to understand is, Naomi had enough sense to understand, I don't need to keep asking her that, because she keep following me. She keep going. Watch verse 19. It says, so they went until they came to Bethlehem, and it came to pass when they were come to Bethlehem that all the city was moved about them. That's a very important piece of information. The whole city moved based upon her return.
Oh, God.
The whole city moves based upon her going back in a new season.
Oh, God.
My God.
We talking about right at about 11 years. Because it told you how many years they was actually in Moab.
Right, right.
So we talking about possibly 11 years later going back to where she used to be. And the whole city moves.
Wow.
Oh, God.
See, so I'm ready to transition here. Y'all ready?
Yes.
Okay. In order to be successful with what was just given, you got to understand some things. You got to understand the time. You got to understand the seed, and you got to understand how to not let weeds overtake your feet. You got to know how to not let weeds overtake your field.
Help us, Jesus.
Past thoughts, weeds. Past behaviors, weeds. See, because when you start thinking about